As a politician, I have to tell you, he's corrupt, he's sinister, he's nasty, he's mean-spirited. And did I say corrupt? Because he's doubly corrupt. I'll say it again. But the one thing I really do not want to see, and we will see it, is this tribute to him as a public servant and a great guy. He is not a great guy. Now, I want to be clear about this. We all get sick and die in the end, and I wish it on nobody. You know, it is just a thing that happens to human beings, and I did not wish his deterioration on him, and I don't wish him dead or anything like that. But as a politician, I have to tell you, and you know, you don't actually hear me talk that cruelly about a lot of people at all, even politicians that I disagree with. He is a bad cat and always has been. He's corrupt, he's sinister, he's nasty, he's mean-spirited. And did I say corrupt? Because he's doubly corrupt. I'll say it again. You know, first of all, this myth, an absolute lie that the media has been telling us about his success as a politician, this inflation economy that has just crippled ordinary Americans who are not making the kind of money that people in the press and in the media are making, the open border, which is a three-time insult to people. It's an insult because they're not obeying the rule of law when they should be. It's an insult to us because it takes no account of our national identity. And it's an insult because it's dangerous as hell. And it's, you know, also, four-time insult in that it also gives employers cheap illegal workers instead of making them pay. You know, the reason wages stagnate in this country is one of the reasons they stagnate in this country is because these workers come in and they take, you know, small salaries. On top of that, the world is in chaos. I mean, when Trump did not start a war, which is an amazing, amazing thing, there's no question that the retreat in Afghanistan inspired Putin to do his thing in Ukraine, that it has encouraged our enemies, that letting Iran do business again and make billions of dollars again has strengthened them as a terrorist entity, which is why Israel is at war. Biden has been a complete failure. And I don't care how much legislation he has passed if the legislation has done nothing but supply the Democrat Party with more graft in terms of this Green New Deal. Jonathan Tobin in The Federalist makes a list. I've taken a couple of lists from a couple of people, and I want to make sure I give them credit, but Jonathan Tobin made a list of the meanness of Joe Biden. For many years, he claimed, you know, that the accident that killed his wife and daughter was caused by a drunk driver. They begged him, the family that was involved begged him to take this back, but he never would. He was really unkind to Michael Albano's family, who was killed when a Jaguar rented by Frank Biden hit him. The youngest of the president's siblings, an alcoholic who has profited from the influence peddling schemes run by brother Jim and nephew Hunter, reportedly told the driver to punch it just before the hit and run occurred. The Albano's family successfully sued for $1 million in compensation, but they've never received a penny. And when Albano's family begged Joe Biden for help, all they got was a letter of refusal from the then senator's chief of staff. Biden, in 1986, said that Judge Robert Bork was qualified to sit on the Supreme Court and that he would vote for him even if liberal groups complained. But the next year, when Bork was nominated by Reagan, Biden not only didn't vote for him, but he joined Teddy Kennedy in smearing him, and it was a really vicious smear that has now become known as borking people. He went on, Joe Biden, to bork Clarence Thomas with the claims of sexual harassment alleged by Anita Hill, which even if they had been true, which I believe they were not, even if they had been true, they were nothing. They were minor little, things. Biden's treatment of Tara Reade, who worked with Biden and accused him of throwing her up against the wall and penetrating her with his fingers and then saying, oops, I thought you wanted that. And that was buried by the New York Times, and Biden has denied it repeatedly. Just the other day, he gave this interview to Lester Holt, where there was this exchange. This is cut one.
Well, I watched what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. Those folks coming out of the woods with torches, carrying swastikas, singing the same Nazi bile, was accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan, and a young woman was killed. And it was a bystander. And the then president was asked, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides. Not fine people on both sides. No excuse.
No, excuse me, it didn't happen. The transcripts show it didn't happen. Even the left has now debunked it now that they're stabbing Biden in the back. This is one of the things he ran on. And Lester Holt just sits there. He just sits there and lets him lie. He let him lie about the bloodbath line as well. They supported the bloodbath lie. Biden has been a plagiarist since he was in law school. He stole 5 pages from a law review and put it in his report. He had that famous steal that cost him, made him have to abandon his campaign when he took British politicians' speech and actually mimicked Neil Kinnock's way of speaking as he done. He's done that again and again. He's a serial plagiarist. Paul Bedard in the Washington Examiner talks about his lies, the lies. He said a helicopter he was riding in was forced down near Osama bin Laden's lair in Afghanistan. You remember how Hillary Clinton got just slammed for saying she came under sniper fire. He falsely claimed to be a coal miner from a family of coal miners. He said that he called Slobodan Milosevic a damn war criminal to his face. That was a lie. He said he criticized former George W. Bush in a long meeting. That was a lie. He said he was arrested. Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and entered into discussions about apartheid. I'm quoting Biden. I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto, trying to get to see him on Robbins Island. That was a lie. He said, he says these things, Republicans want to put black people back in chains. He was talking about Mitt Romney at that point. I don't even know, if is a Republican. He has demonized half the country with these fascistic speeches where he calls anybody who believes in MAGA, he says they're against democracy. That's essentially half the country. This lie about there is no proof, there's no evidence, they keep saying, that he participated in Hunter Biden's influence peddling business. I'll grant that it hasn't been proved in a court of law because he hasn't been brought before a court of law, but there's plenty of evidence for this. All the shell companies, all these empty companies where they push the money around so nobody knows where it comes from and where it goes. The line in Hunter Biden's laptop, 10% for the big guy, all those meetings he came to for Hunter and the phone calls he would make during those meetings when they would put him on a speakerphone and he would talk to Hunter to assure the people that he was influencing peddling with, that Joe Biden was on board. That is not, I'm sorry, a loving father. That's what they try to sell us, that he's a loving father. When your son is doing something illegal and dishonest and that affects you and affects the integrity of the American government, you don't have to send him to prison, but you should definitely stop him and you certainly should not participate in this. If Biden steps down, we're going to hear all these tributes to him. He has been I have despised this guy my whole life. His whole political career that I've lived it, I have just despised him for who he was. Even when I was on the left, more on the left side, I despised him. He's a mean man. He shouts at people who disagree with him on the street, just ordinary people. He is obviously deeply, deeply corrupt, and everything he does, everything he touches turns to crap. Good riddance. As a political figure, good riddance. As I say, I wish him no personal ill. I don't wish this, dementia on him. I certainly don't wish him to be sick or anything like that. But as a political figure, good riddance. He is exactly what this country doesn't need. For more great stuff, like and subscribe. And please subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.